I think now you can also see me. I think before the camera was not on. That maybe makes it a bit more cozy. With that, I'm going to start with the session. I think there's still somebody typing. I was just hoping to get that before starting. All right, I picked it up. I pick it up at a later stage. All right, let's start with the reviews. I mean, reviews, when I talk about reviews, you see already in the background some of the review websites we are talking about. Those you are seeing here are the ones we are offering not only the analysis, but also the scraping. Of course, if you have connections with any other scraping provider, feel free to scrape the reviews from maybe social media places or something like that. And then you can import the data into Caplena and treat it as you like. Reviews, we believe, are very important. I know there's doubts in the market research industry about their quality. There's always concerns here and there. However, those reviews are out there, and a review usually consists not only of the rating, but also of an open-ended comment. And I believe all of us who maybe ordered something on Amazon or loaded an app in the App Store have maybe looked at the ratings, and we all know they can be influential. Having said that, let's go straight into the platform. You see the review sites I'm talking about. I will look at a few examples, show you how to scrape and import, set up the project, and what you can get out of it. And also I would at the beginning briefly talk about the connected accounts, which you also consider here as kind of integrations, but they work a little bit differently. But I will talk about them very briefly as well. How to get started with a review. I'm going here into the Caplena app in the project list, and when I start a new project, which I'm sure many of you have done before, you normally start with uploading your data, and you have a data file from whatever source. I guess most cases, or in many cases, it will be primary data from a survey, or maybe it's scraped data from a social media website or something like that. And then you find here that tab integrations, and behind the integrations tabs you find the 8 integrations we offer. These are these very common websites, the 2 app stores when it's about apps, Trustpilot when it comes to ratings of companies, Google Maps for any location-based business, whether it's a restaurant, a supermarket branch of a chain or an individual one, and Amazon, of course, for products which can be very interesting in the world of FMCG, but also consumer electronics, which is sold via Amazon. The good thing about the reviews is you're not limited to maybe your own product or your own service, or the one you're working with on a particular project. You can always scrape the benchmark competition, and then you are able to compare your own performance or the performance of your client among the most crucial competitors. Very briefly, before we look at this, I also would like to talk about Qualtrics and Zapier. Qualtrics, is a survey platform often used for customer feedback systems when it comes to larger CFM platforms, and we allow to integrate with Qualtrics. And if you have a Qualtrics integration, you can just click on it, and then you can pull up, I have no account here, pull up your account and select a survey. If you want to use Qualtrics, you first have to connect your own Qualtrics server, which you do here via the accounts page. You go to integrations, and then you find this add accounts, and then you only have to enter the API key. You get that from Qualtrics. If you have Qualtrics, you will know that, and you can find out, and the data center of Qualtrics. And once that's connected, you can go via the integrations website, select the survey, select the open-ended question, and work with it. The other non-website based possibility of integrations is Zapier. I'm clicking on it. Not much will happen. You need a Zapier account, and then you can sign into Zapier, and then you can connect Caplena with Zapier. And Zapier is an enabling platform, if you never heard of it, which includes about 5,000 different apps, including many survey platforms like SurveyMonkey or similar, or Typeform. And then you could connect Caplena with that program using Zapier. And then again, the open ends would automatically go into Caplena and come back with a analyzed coded value to you. On Zapier, I would recommend, if you're interested in it, go to YouTube and Google Kaplena Zapier. There is a short training session where we explain how to set up a Zapier integrations. But today, I would rather talk about the integrations with any review website. So let's have a look at any of those. If I click on new projects, I go to integrations, I can pull up those integrations. And then what I do is basically, let's take the Google Play Store for an app. I can enter the URL of that app, and then I get at another page and another page. And so I can compare the performance of various apps. We always give here some information about the URL condition. So if you are unsure, just check it here, or just go to, in this case, to the Google Play Store and copy it out. I have prepared some. Let me actually delete those. What you can also do, you see that here as a little tip, if you want to add links in bulk, you can put them in a list before, and then you just copy that list, and then all the additional windows will open. Let me show you how to do that. I just did it here. I copied 2 links to the Google Play Store, and I have the Microsoft Excel app, and I have the Google Sheets app, and I would like to compare them. And then I click on Load Sample, and then the sample will be loaded. I have to say, I cheated a little bit. I loaded the sample before, so that was very quickly. The estimated count for the sample here is very high because that's widely used apps. So normally when you do that, it maybe takes a moment. So you maybe have to wait a couple of minutes or something until you get the answers loaded. When you have done that, and that goes for all the integrations here, you get this estimated count. That's maybe not exactly what you see on the website, but it should be fairly close to it. So we are not necessarily guaranteed that's exactly the amount you get, but that amount should be reflected very well, because sometimes reviews are maybe being deleted or changed or something like that. So we capture the vast majority of them, I would say 99.9%, and in most cases 100%. But maybe if this number is maybe slightly different from what you get later on, don't worry, that can happen. Before I proceed and show you the next step, how you save the settings and what you can do, I would like to show you another example. So I delete that, and then I'm going into Amazon. And as I said, if you have a prepared link list, then you can take them as bulk. I have that here. I have 4 URLs for 4 television sets. So if I just copy them here, I copy them, and then you see here my 4 URLs. The URL condition, again, for Amazon is different than it is for Google Maps or Google App Store, what we've just seen. For Amazon, what you usually need is the ASIN, that is the Amazon Standard Identification Number, and that's in any URL. So if you find a product on Amazon, usually it's a longer link, but somewhere hidden is the ASIN, and then you see that little DP, and in this condition copied, that will definitely work. So if I click here again on load sample, you will see that preview that's a range between 65 estimated count and 953, and now I could proceed. Before I proceed, I would just like to show you that in Amazon, if I take one of those links here, I copy that in, and I'm going to the Amazon website, and I find that TV. And if you would say like, okay, I would like to compare this TV with this recommended one from Amazon, I could just click on this TV, and then you maybe find that the URL here at the top is a bit differently composed, but you always find that 10-digit ASIN number, and that if you put that into the Amazon condition, then you can download it. Also, for the integrations, if you need any more detail about the conditions, because, for example, I click on Trustpilot, again, it's a slightly different condition. It's usually requires the website of the company you want to, for which you would like to download the reviews. If in doubt, you can always use this little eye to hover over it. Then you see some example, or if you need help, you can click on this little link here, and then you go to our help section. And I have to copy that because I'm only sharing my window. So you see here our help section, and there is more detail about integrations, of which I will tell you most, like about synchronization and billing. And then at the bottom, you see the links conditions, and you always have different examples how to compose your links to get your reviews done. So I'm going back to the to the to the import page, back to the integrations, and then we go back to the Play Store, and I will copy in again those two links from Microsoft Excel and Google Sheets. Load sample, that goes very quickly if you have just done it and repeat it, because it's kind of pre-loaded in the back. All right. So if I have done that, no worries. You do not have to download 4 million reviews. That's maybe far too much. Maybe you just want a part of it, and that's all possible. So once your links are loaded, you continue here to organization. Be a bit careful. If you want to compare, it's always better to think about the beginning. It's not possible with the integrations to add another product in here. However, you could still create a new product with another, let's say you have another competitor product, which also is a table calculation sheet-based program, then you could set it up as a new program. You could copy your topics into that project, and you can still analyze it together, but it's always a bit more comfortable to have it everything in one project. So now I click on continue to organize, and now I'm at the organize screen. You know that from any data imports you might have done in the past. That looks exactly the same, with the difference that you cannot manipulate much. It's usually one open-ended question. Obviously, that's your review text. You see that here marked in blue, and here on the right, you have your, in this case, for the Google Play Store, it's 14 columns with all sorts of information. And that's actually the really interesting thing. We also have the rating. So we can later on use the rating and look at the rating in relation to what people are saying. So what do the satisfied people say, and what do the dissatisfied people say? So I have two numerical volumes, and that's the third thing here, which is interesting, the date column. You always have the date of the reviews, which again allows you to see how the topics people talk about may shift over time. So if I'm happy with that, although I told you there's not much you can do, you can just check it, and then I just continue. Again, no worries. There's a large number of rows I would be importing, but at this stage, you still have not agreed to that. So I'm going to the next page, continue to settings, and here it's a typical project setting you know from any non-integration project. So I call that Sheets versus Excel. That's the project name. I can add tags like to any other project. It's not required to use tags, but tags can be helpful if you're a long project list. You can also add new tags. You maybe want to add a tag integration. So I could create a new tag integration, and then it's added, and then I can find it better in my project list. And then, as for any other project as well, you can make use of the translation. So first you select your main language, like for any other project. So if you want to analyze in English, you analyze in English, but you can also, as you know, analyze in about 30 different languages. So if you're able to speak Greek and you would like to analyze in your results in Greek, whether it's translated into Greek or in Greek original, no problem, you can do that. I will stick to English, but I will still tell you in case you didn't know. You have here the auto translation. You can always do this little mouse hover over the information eye, and then you see some more information on the translations. So what we do is we offer Google Translate and DeepL. DeepL is a bit limited. Some people like the quality better. So it's about 30 plus languages you could use. So if your languages in the reviews you are scraping, maybe they come from different sources or in different languages, then you should be fine with DeepL if your languages are among these. If not, and if in doubt, I would always say go with Google Translate. They cover over 120 languages, and then you should always be on the safe side. So once that is done, you can, and that's what I told you, you can limit the number of reviews you want to scrape. So in this case, we had a large a number of over millions. You may don't want that, so you can limit it to a few hundreds or a few thousands. I'm just taking 1,000 for demonstration purposes. Don't want to overload our platform, but of course, feel free to scrape 4 million if you like. And what we are scraping, that's the big question. We are scraping the last reviews. So if I put 1,000 now, I would scrape 1,000 reviews, the last most recent reviews for Excel and for Google Sheets. Yeah. So if you also, that also goes when you want to limit your time frame. At the moment, you're not yet able to put a limit by a date, but I would also recommend have a look how many reviews you have, and then take an estimate. Maybe you overestimate a little bit to be sure you have the last year or the past 2 years, and then you put it in by number, and then you only scrape the most recent reviews. Second important part is the synchronization. Again, mouse over helps you to learn more about it. If you switch it on, the synchronization, that means, it's explained here as well, you would scrape the last 1,000 reviews, and then any new reviews coming along would be scraped into the project. So it goes automatically, and then you can track the performance of your app or of your product on Amazon or wherever over time. So anytime there's a new review, it doesn't come immediately. It comes like once a day. And then we would look on the website again. And if there are new reviews, they will be imported, automatically analyzed. And then you can see them. If you have, for example, a timeline chart, you would see them there. I switch it off. I don't need that here. I'm just checking whether there are any questions so far. I don't see any. Please do not hesitate to ask questions if you have any. All right. So if that's done, I have the translation on. In my case, with Google Translate, I have the synchronization out, and I want to scrape 1,000. Then I can just click on save. Funny enough, I cannot do that because for some reason I have a bit of a credit limit here. I don't know why that is, to be honest. Let me just reload my page. That's strange. Sorry about that. Just trying again. All right, here we go. For some reason, let me go again, and then I take a limit here. Huh, that's strange. Okay, test Sheets versus Google. All right, that's a bit of a shame. For some reason, I have the amount of credits. I see what the problem is. I can see what the problem is. Okay, that's some things we need to fix. Sorry about that. A bit of a technical blurb, but it will be fixed shortly. For some reason, you're not. I would not be being booked these 5 million credits, but I have to have them on my balance to proceed. But we can help here. I can just go back, and I have my other project. So I'm not using this one. I'm deleting this one, going to Amazon, and then I take my televisions. That should work. Just bear with me for 1 second. And then I'm copying those, load sample. You see that's much less, and I also don't have to put a limit because it's very, very, very few. Continue to settings, and then I leave it at the limit. And now I can confirm that I have enough credits for these ones. Yeah, sorry about that. That will be fixed. But the thing is, we take a guesstimate of all the available credits, even though if you limit, that should be discounted. That will be available shortly again. In this case, it works. And of course, hopefully you don't run into such large projects that often. Otherwise, please do not hesitate to let us know, either here via the chat or send us an email, and then we will fix it. So that's not sheet, that is Amazon TV comparison. Okay, so that should work now. And then I just save it. What happens now is the project is being saved and it's added to my project list. With the scraping projects, they not work immediately. They take a little bit of time. So you see this message when you start a project. So the importing takes a little bit. So we're sending the request and then we scrape those reviews, maybe not one by one, but in batches. So depending on the size, depending on the web size, sometimes even depending on the day, that process takes about half an hour to 2 hours. Sometimes, in rare case, maybe takes half a day. What happens is, once the data is there, you are getting an email saying, okay, your data has arrived, and then you can go in and start working on the project. So I'm not be able to work on this project now in our session, but I have here another project, another integrations project that I can show you how it should look like. So what I have here, this is my integrations project. Here, the integration has already happened, and that is really Excel versus Google Sheet data. And if I go now into this project, that's also already been analyzed, because we don't want to talk about the analysis, how you get there today. We just want to talk about the results. So if I go into this cockpit, you can see I have the my live chart here with the results. And if I click on new chart, then I can show you what you can do with the review data. First of all, the reviews are treated, maybe I quickly show you that they're treated like any other open-ended project. If I go to the topics assignment, I can see here all the individual reviews, each review treated as an open-ended question with their topics assigned to it. But the interesting thing is also that you can use those additional variables. You can use them here, obviously, for dates. So you could say like, okay, I want to see a certain period of time here, or by rating. So I can just look at the low ratings, for filtering purposes, or I can put all of them back. You can use the display variables here to put the rating underneath. And maybe also, if you do a comparison, you would like to know which product we are talking about. So there's here the item name, which helps you also to segment the data and compare it. So I can see this is a Google Sheets user. This is also a Google Sheets user. And of course, I could just filter by, let's say, Microsoft Excel. And then I can see, oh yeah, there are also some Excel users in here. And I have many people here that gave a bad rating, but of course I can do a consecutive filter here and choose the rating and look at the ones who are very happy with it. So I have here the 5-star ratings from Microsoft Excel. And if I would be interested in that data specifically, I could click on export, and then I would export this selected 147 rows of data. But that's not all what you can use here for the analysis. Of course, you can make use of that in the charting. So if I go into a new chart, I can easily segment, and that's probably the most crucial part. You want to compare these 4 television products from Amazon, or you want to compare your competitor companies on Trustpilot, or in this case, Sheets versus Excel. So I can use here the category value in my column, and then I pick the item name, and then I have here Google Sheets versus Microsoft Excel, and I can put these results side by side and look at them. Are there any questions? I must say you're very quiet, not too many questions. Could be a good thing that everything is clear. I hope. Yeah, please feel free to ask some questions. We have 5 minutes left. If not, I would like to show you some more of the capability we have here. All right. Yeah, so that would be one thing you can do. The another thing is, I told you with the reviews, you have the date. So if I go on the timeline here, which automatically reads the date, in case you have different date values in your data set, if it's non-reviews, you can always select it here to be sure you have the right one. And then you see here the data going across, in this case, on a monthly basis, but I can analyze on a quarterly basis or on a yearly basis. Of course, if I have the reviews, but I have reviews here from 2020, 2021, and 2022. So that is easily done. Of course, I do it on a daily basis, but it's getting probably very messy. So I think monthly or quarterly is probably interesting, or maybe yearly. So here you can really see how the results develop over time. And as you know, nothing to do with the reviews. Any of those charts often has some hidden features. So for this one, for example, I could say, get rid of the pie because I only want to see the lines, how they move. And for the lines, you can change them into areas. So we have this stacked chart, and then you can see how those topics move. And of course, you can focus on certain areas. If you think like, I only want to see what's going on in ease of use in navigation, then you maybe say, oh, topics to plot here in general include only the navigation category. I chose that here. Of course, that's now 100%. And then I probably have to take off here in general the topics and show it on a topic basis. Okay, there are only 3 topics, but you can see how they moved, how this ease of login. Apparently, there were some login issues here, maybe. So that was they talked about that. So that's how you can basically deep dive with such a chart. And the last thing I would like to show you from the charting perspective, based on reviews, is the driver analysis. Since you have the star rating, you can also do a driver analysis. You find it here in this in those charts which can use a satisfaction score. Of course, you can show the star rating here, the average, and I can go into labels if it's just around 3, and maybe I want to change the decimal places to compare better, and then I can check here by item name, how is Google Sheets performing, how is Microsoft Excel performing, and then I can put them in the dashboard next to each other. But the more exciting part would be the driver analysis. So once you have a rating, you can use the driver analysis. What we do here is, based on a multiple regression analysis, we are measuring how impactful is a topic mentioned in a review on the star rating. Again, let me expand the labels a little bit so we can read them a bit better. So what the chart does is it shows you leaning toward the right. Here on the bottom, you see it, the relative impact. So the more on the right, the higher the impact is on the star rating. Meaning, if somebody talks positively about the compatibility to other devices or other operating systems, this person is very likely to recommend the app to other people. Yeah, and if the opposite happens, if this person is unhappy, and many people are, on the y-axis you see the frequency, many people are, so this is negative perception of the compatibility, that is a negative driver. But you see, actually, it's not such a strong negative driver. It's below minus 0.03, so it's a negative driver, but not super strong, whereas this one is very high. So there's a very high positive impact, and you can always click on the item, and then you can display here the rating, and then you should see that these are people mostly giving a very high rating, and that confirms our thesis that the multiple regression analysis comes up with the highest correlation of their rating. So if people talk about positively about the compatibility, they are very likely to give a good star rating, even though, that's very interesting, they like the compatibility, they gave a 5 overall, but they have 2 negative features. So they talk about graphs and general functioning negatively, but the compatibility, that's actually the key here that overrides that, and they still give a 5. That makes that a very strong driver. So that's actually giving you a great chance, to dig very deep into your data. I see there is someone typing for the questions. We are nearing the end, but of course I will answer the question which is coming in here. All right, that was just a thank you. Thank you very much as well. With that, we reached the end. And if you have no more questions, then I would close here. You will get a thank you email and a link to the session, so you can repeat it or you can forward it to a team member. And of course, if you have any questions in this regard or in any other regard, feel free to use our chat. You find it here on the bottom right in the app, or send us an email. You find our email here, the support@Caplina, and then we are happy to follow up. Or if you have an exciting project that maybe goes beyond the standard use of the integrations, feel free to reach out, and then we are happy to discuss it. With that, I thank you very much, and hope to see you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.